And we're rolling.
Yay! You have a button for yay!
I'm just testing out buttons at this point. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Pep Talks. And now I'm talking with Miss Karen Hernandez. So I just to begin, I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your vacation over here, which is something that I was thinking about today. I was like, damn, like she's probably had some things planned, and she still said yes. So I appreciate that just to begin with. Like I said, her name is Karen Hernandez, and I would let her introduce herself. I just wanted to kind of give a backstory of where we met. I've known Karen since we were kids, going to church, and were you in the choir?
Mm-hmm.
We were in the choir together. So it's cool to catch up again now as adults, and I mean it's a lot to talk about. So that's just my little intro of how I know Karen, and I'll let her introduce herself as well.
Okay, thank you for that intro, Pepe. I'm Karen, or Karen, whichever one is easier. And just a disclaimer, I would say that part of my plans coming back home is hanging out with Pepe's sister because she's my bestie. So she's also here watching. So that's kind of how we know each other primarily. I would say it was, I think BD was probably 7 or 8 when we met. And I think I was 8 or 9 or something. And so we met at somebody's house, somebody's backyard party, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I talked about that in the first episode of how I feel like a lot of us stayed connected. We didn't really. I don't know if you still go to church, but I don't really go to church anymore. None of us really do, but it's still cool how we recognize that was the like what we didn't like about the church, and we realized what we did like about it. Like we still keep those memories. A lot of people are like, "That's weird." Like you guys went to church because they see us now and they're like, "What the fuck?" Like me and Manny are like the biggest example from RYE. He always says it like he's like, I've known this man since I was 5, and like he's 26. I'm turning 25 soon, so 20 years is a long time, and we're still seeing each other like day to day.
Yep.
And so it's cool. Like you guys are the same way. I know you probably have other friends too that you've kept for a long time, and I feel like that speaks a lot about just who we were raised by. All of our parents are kind of like the same too.
Yeah.
They've kept a lot of their friends around, so that's something cool.
I would say we have a lot of the same building blocks, kind of, which is where I think our similarities come into, where we have all these inside jokes of things that would happen to us or things that we witnessed together that kind of pulls us back. That nobody else, like you go to work, you go to college, you go to school, get married, you have the kids, you move on with life, but these are the people that kind of know the real you at the end of the day. Like they know you when you were piojosito.
Yeah.
Mocosito.
That's so cool. I actually heard there was another podcast where the guy was like, los amigos verdaderos son los que like ven las cucarachas en tu cocina. And I was like, hell yeah. Like you're not afraid to show them nothing. That's what's up. Or is it too like you have those friends that you don't talk to like consistently, or you actually like haven't talked to in a while, but when you get back together, it's kind of like we picked up on the same page. Like, do you have that?
Yeah, I definitely have that with your sister, and there are a few other people in the Cobb County area or maybe the Metro Atlanta area that I come back to, and it's like no time has passed, even though I've been gone for, maybe a year and a half.
It feels like it was a while, too. That was probably like something I wanted to ask. Like, were you living somewhere before you moved to Mexico, or this is just Atlanta straight over there?
No, so I didn't finish introducing myself, but I was.
Oh no, yeah, go ahead.
I was born and raised in Georgia, born in Atlanta, so I'm from East Point, but grew up in the suburbs. And then maybe about 3 years before I moved to Mexico, that was in 2022. But 3 years before that, I had already been living out of the house, out of my parents' house at least. So I had been in South Atlanta 1 year. I was in like northern Atlanta another year, and then Marietta. So I kind of hopped around until I found the next stop.
The next stop. That's cool. So right now, what's been I don't know. I guess been most of your focus in your life has been dance. Was that accurate?
Yes. So I moved because I wanted to pursue a career in performing arts and in arts in general that was way less expensive than pursuing here in the
Yeah,
States. Because we
definitely.
know school is expensive and art school is even more expensive than a lot of the careers that are more common. And I had already done my undergrad at Georgia State. So I kind of gave that a life, the whole like, immigrant daughter expectations. They want you to go to college, do the thing that they couldn't do. I gave it a shot. I tried to put myself in a box. I played the part for many, many years. At the end, didn't feel like it was fulfilling enough. And so then I gave myself a chance to go look at programs for folklorico in Mexico City. And so I found a program. I found a school with many options to do dance, and so that's what I'm focusing on right now. It's a priority at the moment. Just giving myself that shot at learning how to become an artist, and kind of molding myself, but also letting the world of Mexico and Mexico City mold me until I feel, I don't know, like I have base camp, until I have a secure quote unquote foundation to start creating my own craft, my own I don't know, I have a vision for a lot of things, but until I fully invest in myself and fill myself with all these skills, I feel that I'm not ready yet to put out full creations from start to finish. So I'm still picking up skills. Mm-hmm.
In your tenure, like doing dance, has it become like? Do you still see it as a passion, more of a job, an art? What do you like? You kind of describe it as.
Okay, so I think uh, I had to think about this one because, see, I think growing up, I was a hyper child. I had a lot of extra energy. And it's actually talking to your sister that now in my later 20s, I'm kind of wondering like if I had some kind of ADHD
ADHD.
or
I think
some
I
kind
had
of
yeah.
thing. Maybe I don't know. I don't really want to put myself in a box, and I'm not diagnosed. But I definitely noticed that when I was going to my folclorico ensayos, so dance practice, when I was still doing it here in Georgia, that it was the one thing that I didn't have to try super hard at to do fully well. Like even if I wasn't the best at something, I didn't really have trouble participating or being a leader or trying something new or messing up at and paying attention. It was just something that came to me. It was almost like the entire world would just quiet down when I was in dance class. And so in the very, very beginning, I think it's been an outlet for my extra
Ordinary.
energy. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. And
Just the energy, yeah, energy or vibe that you felt within. It sounds like it was more of like even an extension of who you were.
absolutely, it was a way to express myself non-verbally. Being a person that's very, very verbal, and I'm very vocal about everything in my life. I'm very expressive. But at least when I was doing it non-verbally, no one can really counter. They can't really say anything back. So you just express yourself. Way to get energy out there. Way to get exercise. I've always been a person that has enjoyed exercise, and I think this time around, now in this part of my life, it's more of a passion, and to some extent, this is gonna sound so corny, but it also feels like a spiritual calling
Mm-hmm.
that I'm just trying to answer. So that's kind of more for me and not something that I typically share, but it has been something that I think has been just calling me over and over, and I kept ignoring it. So now I'm trying
It's an
to,
attraction. It's like a magnetic almost.
yes,
That's
exactly.
cool. I feel like it feels really good to feel like you are where you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love those feelings where you're like, maybe there's a lot of confusion, maybe I have a lot of questions, but right now I feel like you said, like calm, like everything is okay. You get to like if you have so much going on in your head at that point, it kind of quiets down.
Yeah, I would say that this is a time in life where I don't feel regrets. Like I want to backtrack on anything. I mean, I think the tiredness and the burnout feeling can sometimes haunt you sometimes. Like it feels like, oh, am I going to get burnt out at some point? But it's not, it hasn't happened. You know, I still feel energy to keep going forward. Um, and that I wouldn't rather be doing anything else.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
You said you started as a like younger, like as a kid almost.
Mm-hmm.
Um, being now that you are where you are in your career, do you is there anything you feel like you said you have no regrets, but anything you feel like if I could talk to my what age would you say like my 13, 12?
When I started,
Mm-hmm.
I think I was 16.
Like if I could go and speak with like my 16-year-old self, like what is the one thing that you might just be like, hey, by the way, like this would probably help.
Oh, wow. I would just tell her, don't quit, not once or twice, because I did quit once or twice. Um, I would tell her, this feels like a really big part of you because it is, and it's going to be, and you shouldn't ignore something that you are talented in, and don't downplay it. Don't make it smaller than what it actually is.
That is cool. Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that you said like not regrets.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in those back if you're going back in time movies, they're like you can't change anything, but I feel like it's not like a regret, it's like a lesson. Like at least let me just give you like this little cheat code. Like at least that one answer where they like at school they will give us an open book test. That's cool. Like that's always I've always wondered like what people would say to their younger self at least once.
Yeah.
And and now that it's taking you to Mexico, you feel like you still feel that energy, and you feel like that's where it pulled you to,
Mm.
or that was more of a personal decision. Like I can take the reins from here.
Which energy do you refer to?
Of it being your calling, like
Okay.
what you were supposed to do.
So the question is, do I still feel that?
Is that why you moved, or you feel like this time was just more of like a humane like reason? Like the opportunity came up, and you were like, let me just take it, or you still feel like this is where I'm supposed to be.
I would say it still feels very intentional to be where I am. Um, it still feels like I have a lot of work to do there in Mexico. And one of the reasons that I moved there was not only this magnetic pull and this feeling of, I think something's waiting for me there, um, but it was also strategically the fact that, you know, let's see, how can I explain this?
No, take
It,
your time.
it was like knowing that I knew how much I didn't know. And when I got there, I was only going to learn more about the things that I didn't know. And the options and the opportunities were just going to triple or quadruple in amounts and size. It was this knowing deep down that, okay, my dream, let's say, is 5 pounds big. And when I get there, my dream is going to turn into so many other things that I hadn't even
Heavy.
thought about.
Nice.
And that's one of the reasons that I felt like I needed to get out of my shell and get out of where I was only able to see from one horizon to the next horizon. And that was Georgia. So I said, let me go. It sounds so cheesy, but I was like, let me go to this other place where I'm going to go see more horizons. Like where else the sun ends, where else, how high the ceiling can go, and what are other people's dreams looking like? How do other people pursue things that are creative or that they've dreamt about for a long time? What are other ways to do that I'm not thinking about? And so being there now, I can totally see how that is popping up for me in the way that, so I do the taco tours, for example, and entrepreneurship is a huge, huge, huge part of work culture in Mexico City. In Mexico in general, but in Mexico City, you'll see a lot of people making a name for themselves because unemployment is
So high.
it's so high and so relevant everywhere. It's just the job market is a hard market, so a lot of people make a living for themselves with what they have and what they know, and they get creative about it. Like maybe you don't see el elotero as an artistic or a creative, but the way that he makes his shopping cart with the pot inside and the big mayonnaise bottle, it's like that's creative. That's creation in itself. He took something and made it out of nothing. And so I still feel like I'm in the right place. I was called here for a reason. Sometimes things don't work out, and not everything is nice and pretty all the time. It's not like I'm on a long ass vacation. But
Right.
at first it felt that way until reality starts hitting.
Well, that was one thing I wanted to like kind of get into was you mentioned that like it was a big change for you,
Mm-hmm.
and dude, that takes some cojones to just leave everything you know, and you're like, fuck it, I gotta do it. That first night, what's going through your head? You're like, okay, I'm doing this. Like, there's no turning back. I believe you did. You buy a one-way ticket and you're like, fuck it, I'm not buying a round trip.
Yep.
You see?
Yep.
What was that like? Like that first night? Or what is it, excitement? Is it confusion?
Would you say the first night that I was sleeping in Mexico, or
Or
the first night that I was
day.
alone?
Yeah, or at least yeah. Well, just like let's say, did you get there in the morning? It just makes the question a lot easier.
I don't think so.
Yeah, or the first time you were alone and it kind of like hit you like, oh, I'm here.
Okay. That was. It wasn't even a first day. It was like the first week, the first month. It was the same feeling of loss inside me. There was a lot of grief at the time of wow, I'm really excited about this place downstairs or down the street, or getting a bite to eat at this other place, or I'm gonna start dancing again. But at the same time, dealing with the grief and the loss of everything I thought was gonna be my life, which wasn't just a place. It was people too. It was family not being there, and family changing and growing by the time that I would see them again. You know, an example is the nephews. It's like you see them one way when you leave, and you know that the next time you're going to see them, they're going to look different, and there's going to be some distance emotionally. And luckily, when I saw them again this time around, it was like I never left. It was cute.
I feel like they recognize that it's somebody very important, especially like the way you're close to like your sibling and your whole family. Like they see that. I feel like they say kids and dogs are like the best judgment of character. So
Yeah.
That's cool. That's good. I feel like it sucks to be absent, but one way or another, like I mean, you'll come back, and one way or another you'll connect. That's inevitable.
You know, I think my nephew found out during this trip that I was his dad's sister.
Oh, what did he? Oh, he thought it was his mom's.
I don't know what he thought.
He thought,
I think
this
maybe
lady just comes over our
maybe
house all
he
the time.
thought her name is Tia Karen. Because then I told him, I was like, something about my brother. And he's like, your brother? Like, yeah, I have a brother. And he's like, who's your brother? Like, your dad. He's, how? How? But he's 5.
He's 5? And
Yes.
he hasn't questioned your existence yet? He was like,
He's
he never
just
said,
like, who's this pretty lady I'm going to sleep with tonight?
oh my God, damn.
And so then my
Have
mom.
y'all talked to him about don't go into people's vans with candy and stuff too?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they have.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure they have.
Cool.
No, but then my mom walked out, and then I said, that's my mom. And he was like, you guys have the same mom? I was like, yes.
That's funny. That's
So
funny.
it was really unexpected, but I think it was so it just full circle. Like I poured in so much into him. I poured so much love into him before I left, because I knew, like before I moved to Mexico, I knew a year in advance that I was going to be doing this move. So I tried to make everything super intentional.
Oh, so you were very strategic. You had this down.
Yeah. I took about a year, maybe less than a year, several months. Had my little spreadsheet out.
Oh, yeah.
with,
Some
like,
people do it like within a week, and it
deadlines
sucks.
And how do I do this? And which neighborhood that? And how much does this cost? And it was just micromanaging your girl's anxiety because I get anxiety.
I mean, you want to get there like running at least not tripping over stuff. So that's cool. That's very smart. I feel like I've heard a lot of people just say, "Oh, I just said fuck it," and then they're like, "It was the worst trip of my life" or something. I'm like, "What'd you expect?" That was cool. That I didn't know that. Well, that speaks a lot about you. That's very that's actually dedication because you probably took a lot of time from personal stuff just to focus on that one thing.
Oh yeah, one of the things Vidi knows this. I went and figured out how to get my dual citizenship so I could.
Oh, you haven't?
Run things smoother because when I got there, I had to figure out how to do like money transfers and am I going to open up a bank and how do I get the bank? I got to get an ID. How do I get the ID?
To open a bank?
I got the not a
Oh.
I didn't open up a bank. I had to open up a bank account.
Oh, bank account, duh. Oh, I was like, you want to open up a bank?
No.
That's cool. Strategy.
I missed the word.
Strategy.
You can't edit that. You can.
No, that's
bank
that's
account.
funny.
So I had to get all those things in check in order to make that smoother. And so I was like appointment here and then bring these papers and my parents' documents and So that was just a small part of the big list that I did before, just getting on my ducks in a row before I left.
But yeah, once you're there, it's just a lot different, huh?
Yes.
I mean, at least you were somewhat like very, very much prepared. Mm-hmm. Now, how the hell does somebody get a job in a taco tour?
Okay.
That is a cool ass fucking job, man. When you said that, I was like, what? I was like, am I?
Yes, it is. It is. I would say it's one of my best jobs that I've ever had.
Sounds
but
like
also the worst paid.
Do you get to eat for free?
Yes. Like my food is included. So okay. So I'll tell you how this happened. The first year that I was living there was a coffee shop downstairs from my apartment, and I got to know the barista there, and we would like chit chat. That's where I spent a lot of mornings, coffee, etc. And he was doing the barista job and a personal coach like at the gym, and he was doing the taco tours with who is now my co-host. So, like I said, he was 49 at the time, and he's doing entrepreneurial this, that, and the other for a long time. So it's really common, or that's maybe what he has to do to make ends meet. Anyway, so he goes 4 months out of the 4 months of the year to do whale watching tours in Baja California. And so he leaves, and I'm like, oh, it was nice to meet you, da-da-da. If you know of any places that are opening up, just please let me know. Keep in touch with me if you ever come back. And then he said, do you want to do taco tours? And I was like, okay, sure.
Of course,
Hell
the guy who's doing a whale show knows where to get the taco tour job.
Yeah. So he introduced me to Gabby, who is the co-host. And she has 5 experiences that are listed on the Airbnb app. And so she is a native of Mexico City, and she has those 5 things set up even before the pandemic. This was 5 years ago. And then I joined the team. And so she had things set up already, trained me, gave me the tour. I did it several times before I felt ready, and that's how I got in. So we interviewed, and then she put me in. So I do taco tours in La Condesa and a class on how to make tortillas from scratch.
No way.
Yeah.
Like from the corn and everything?
From the masa.
Oh, what the... I didn't know about that one. Mm-hmm. You said you did TikTok. Is that what that's related to, or is it for your dancing?
It's a little bit of both. Right now, my personal TikTok is just me either whatever, just dancing or chisme.
Or eating a taco.
Un taco
de qué? What's your go-to taco?
Oh my god.
La orden.
Honestly, I really like, al pastor is kind of the number one that I would go
with
for.
Piña?
Con piña, con salsa verde.
Yes. De tomatillo or de guacamole?
De guacamole.
I don't know why. De guacamole, yeah. And what else? What other taco would you get?
I really like, oh my gosh. So they do tacos de guisado a lot in Mexico City. And that's kind of my go-to. That if I go there, I'm usually getting calabacitas or some kind of chile relleno or something.
Nice.
They have something called chicharrón prensado too.
What is that?
It's like the chicharrón en salsa verde.
Oh, es lo que te iba a decir.
But this one is
verde.
slightly different. It's like a little grittier, but just as salty. And
Oh my gosh.
I think they use marinade with chile guajillo. It's really
right
good.
now, there's Did you ever go to El Canastón right here in Osto that they do las gorditas? Tienen unas gorditas de chile morita, and then el chicharrón en salsa verde.
Okay.
Super good.
Okay.
That sounds so cool. And you teach the tortilla class too?
Yes. So
Tortilla. That sounds so.
So essentially I'm the host of the entire experience, but we have somebody in the shop because we do it at a restaurant in their dining room.
Cool.
They bring us the masa, and then they have a little press machine y un comal ahí como al aire libre, so you can do the masa, the tortillas, and then you just turn over to the comal. But one of the workers from there, her name is Mari, and we call her our tortilla expert. And she comes over and gives the whole instruction in Spanish. And then I'm translating while she's giving the instructions. But essentially, I'm the one that's doing the class. Mm-hmm. We just have our tortilla expert. And so that's how it works out.
Damn. You know, a mí me llaman el comal.
¿Por qué?
But,
porque estás caliente.
No. ¿Cómo va? Oh, porque caliento las tortillas, las gorditas.
Ándale.
No, I thought she knew another like version of the joke, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna write this one down. That's cool.
Good thing he can edit his own.
Oh no, this is gonna go like this.
Okay.
And the first one, I fucking said the same sentence at the same time. I said something about like, let's say if I'm saying A, B, C, D, and I was like, oh yeah, A, B, C, D. And I was like, what? And I'm listening to it. I'm like, I just repeated it. But everybody, I showed it to two people, and both of them were like, what do you mean? And I was like, I repeated myself. You didn't hear that? And he's like, And I was like, okay, I guess. But yeah, this is going like this. I feel like this is what people want to see, you know?
Here I thought. I was like, you're going to take my feet out of the shot, right?
Yeah, that's why I was like, the blanket has the kabuk, because I don't know how to edit. If that would have been funny, I'd put like clown shoes or something on your feet.
You're getting the real deal, y'all. Okay.
Before that, though, did you do anything else? Any other job? Anything cool?
In Mexico? No.
You know what I feel like I would do if I lived there? I used to love this thing. You know, El Yakult?
Mm-hmm.
I would want to be the guy that delivers it. I feel like that's the coolest fucking job. Like, you get to go and sell those every day. I mean, he probably sold something cool in the afternoon, right? I don't know. Yakult delivery by day.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Man, and he had like the whole thing. I'm like, dude, I still think about it to this day. If I was around that, I'd just be sipping all day.
Yeah, your sister, she talks about that a lot with a lot of nostalgia. You know, the Yakult? The Yakult? How do you not like it?
How do you know I like it? Oh, that's funny, dude. Damn. The culprits. Mm-hmm. Tonyo's a bigger fan, too. He loves Yakult. He was like, you know what? He's like, one day when we got money, I'm going to just build a big one. And I'm going to just put a bunch of little ones in the big one and chug it. I feel like they're really bad for you, probably.
I think they're probiotics.
What's that?
With sugar. It's the flora, the tiny microscopic stuff that your stomach needs to digest, to help your digestion.
Oh, no way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, my sister's behind this. But we're just connecting right now because we're just like, they just exposed us for being Yakult addicts. Yeah, Activia Little Waste. Shit, I still got fat. What happened there? That's crazy. I did not know that. But yeah, you said you didn't do anything else?
No, because I was doing school 3 times a week, and I was not anything that I was eligible for to work for any part-time or full-time job. I just couldn't. It didn't work out with my hours from school. And so then I just opened myself up to, okay, I'm going to open myself up to the Mexican job market and get my earnings in pesos. And I'm going to open myself up to contract work or assistant work or some kind of entrepreneurship where I'm selling products myself or something else that would work with the hours.
Mm. No, I've heard there's like a new job model donde llevan ropa like they buy here like like TJ Maxx you can find like three things of one y lo venden en el tianguis.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That people are they're fucking innovators, man. Right now I was watching this one guy who Radar. I don't know if you know the guy Adrian Marcelo. He's like a comedian, but he does like just like if he was reporting for the news, but just on his own. He just goes and walks, and they follow him with a camera. He's really funny. But he goes to Tijuana, and there's people selling stuff on the street. And he asked him, he was like, ¿Y esto lo vende así por año? ¿O cómo le hace? He's like, no, dependiendo de la temporada. Porque la gente viene, pero tal vez no fueron a Chihuahua o no fueron acá. Y dice, yo voy y recojo toda la artesanía y me la traigo, pero por temporada.
Mm-hmm.
So what they missed, he would already have. Like, basically, he would go and buy other artisan stuff. Or is it?
Artisans?
Artisanal? Or
Oh,
artisan?
Yeah. Well, the artisans are the people.
Okay,
And
he would go buy
artisanal is their craft.
their crafts. So he would buy those, and then he would bring them depending on the season. I was like, who thinks of that? I would just be selling, like, churros or something, you know? But he thought about it. I'm like, you see? And that just came to my head when you said that. They're very innovative.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that you're in that market, is it like helped you be a little bit more like you're just more active, you're more disciplined with since you're earning it, you feel like you value it a little bit more. Not only because I'm not saying that you don't, but it's more like I'm doing this. Like this is I'm grinding and I'm doing everything I can to make this shit work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I feel that most of the days I'm running around all over the city, and it's all by foot, because I'm walking everywhere. Even though I'm taking the metro, either the train or the bus, I'm still standing most of the time because it's full. And so I do feel that my days have become more labor intensive than they were here, for sure. It's like my step count double. Because then you're also in a different altitude in Mexico City. I don't know how many people know that, but it's about 3,000 plus meters above sea level. And so here in Georgia, I think the highest is around 280, 286. I don't know about the mountains, but we're not really that much higher. And so all the days over there that I'm, my 2-hour tours, if I have 2 a day, then I'm out on the ground for over 4 hours. And that doesn't include, just transportation. And then from there, going to my classes. My classes I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'm there for 4.5 hours because I have 3 classes a day, and they're each an hour and a half of a different style of dance. And so I don't even have my phone on me while I'm in dance class, so I can't even imagine what my actual step count is if I were to have an Apple Watch and then count all of it.
Because it's just easier to just walk over there. Like I feel like a lot of people when they've come up, like a lot of people that I know that come over here, they're like, dude, you gotta have a car for everything.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel right now.
He's like, and you have like, I have like a 4-wheeler. He's like, you can't even use that. He's like, over there, you could put like 5 people on there. I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's just, I feel like that's the biggest. I've noticed that New York, that's like the biggest city that I've actually been to that I had to like go in transit. So I feel like maybe it's a little bit the same. I don't know. Have you been to New York before?
Yeah, I went when I was.
New York.
Yeah, I went when I was 16, and
Damn.
I think I thought it was a monster then because you're 16, anything is a monster.
Watch out for me. Mm-hmm. I am the danger. Yeah.
And then you get to Mexico City and you realize that New York is just a little slice of that, because I don't know, you get there and it is so dense. It can be so hot and the air is so dry, and just going up flights of stairs, like people will get winded.
Is it true that when you're landing, you go through like the smog?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, I have a picture. Oh. I don't know if I showed you. I don't think I showed you, but I have a picture of when I was flying out of the city last week, and the pollution literally gets stuck in a layer of the stratosphere. So when you're leaving Mexico City, it looks like it's cloudy but brown. And then right
Oh,
above that is blue, just sky blue, 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 which is where the pollution can't get to anymore because it's just stuck.
that is
It's
insane.
gross. So it's a lot of work physically, more than any job that I had in my later 20s, especially getting out of college where I was más comodita,
Mm,
aquí sentadita en la oficina, clickety clackety. You know, that's more comfortable. And you're inside, you're in AC, and excuse me.
yeah, that I was thinking about that right now. I was like, dude, I'm like burping, like.
¿Qué más? Yeah, it feels like I'm back in college in some way. Just like work in school, work in school.
I feel like the challenge is what just kind of makes your heart beat a little bit faster, and you're just like this. I feel like that's a little bit, and the time goes by a lot easier. I've been in like one, like not even an office job, but I would have to check in at an office, and just being there, I was just like, let me go outside. Like I was coming from working outside, so I'm just like, this is people do this every day for 8 to 12, 15 hours, and you're just like, shit.
Yeah, no, that's not really my um what is it? Like rhythm. Like my rhythm is like I said, I'm so much more active. So I had office jobs and at the end of the day I would be mentally exhausted, but I felt like I didn't do anything with my body. And
Mm,
so now it feels like it's actually worth it. It's like, okay, I actually got tired today. Yeah.
that's cool. One connection I made with what you said about the altitude. There's one Monday night football game in the NFL that they play at El Estadio Seca, and it's crazy because a lot of the players, except for the ones that are playing right there, like up in the like northwest,
Mhm.
a lot of those teams have to have the oxygen masks like on them as soon as they sit because they're just like winded,
What?
and it's so crazy because they have to like some like they're just snorkeling up like
I had no
pure.
idea. Is
Yeah.
that because they weren't training in Mexico City before they
Oh, they
played?
don't. Yeah.
So that's the crazy part
That's why
because
it's sorry, I didn't mean to,
no,
but
go
like
ahead.
that's why like some of those teams, like the
Yeah.
Broncos,
Yeah.
they're from Denver, from Colorado.
Mhm.
They've played once against the LA Rams, so they're
Okay.
like they just they didn't feel like they were like the closest.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, like you see they did go get some because it's a little bit different, but you see
Mhm.
the whole LA bench just like on it as soon as they sit. Like they come off of a play and they're just on it because it's. I feel like you said like the altitude is
Yeah.
just crazy for them.
I do. Oh, I had no idea. Actually, I had no idea that that would. But that makes sense because then there are Olympians and other types of athletes that are said to go to cities with really, really high altitudes to practice
Yeah, they
just for
have to.
months, so that when they go out and actually play the game, or not the game, but when they actually compete, it's easier on their lungs and easier on their body.
Yeah, that's what I was like. It's just I think, and it's so funny because the commentators are always like, and look at them eating. They have a lot of chips, and look at that hot sauce. Like that hot sauce looks crazy, and it's a Valentina, and they're putting Valentina on their churros. That's funny. Well, earlier I wanted to kind of get back to like just one question I had about the dancing. Now that we've kind of caught up to where you've been at.
Okay.
Earlier I had asked if before Mexico it took you anywhere. Now that maybe you're getting closer to, you said you were getting a little bit closer to being done with school.
A little bit. I have one. I have the rest of this year, and then my third year left.
Third year.
Hmm.
With that coming up, where would you want it to take you now? Or like you said, maybe you won't leave Mexico, but what's something that you feel like would be something you would like to take you?
To be completely honest, when I first ventured out to do this, I had all the intention to go, invest in myself, and bring it back to Georgia. And that was as big as, my dream had been to some extent. There's a company there that is really famous, and I would like to perform with them if I can. I auditioned this year and I didn't make it, but I know at least what's at the audition. And so that's one of the goals. And they do have a company that travels throughout the Republic. So they go through to different places in Mexico. And then there's also another opportunity where they go to different parts of the world. So that's one option. But not only that, there's a lot of other companies in Mexico City that do traveling tours to different countries and different festivals, cultural festivals around the world. So that's another opportunity. And so that's for performing, right? That's one way to get out there, see the world through that way. And the other way I would say is to teach. So to educate, to create, to make my own choreographies. And that is something that I think I could bring anywhere I'm invited, anywhere that they want it. You know, essentially maybe start off in Mexico and the surrounding areas and team up with some people who also want to dedicate their life to teaching dance, to passing on this tradition. And then maybe in the US and then maybe in other countries. So I kind of see a lot of possibilities, but I think I have to be ready for when those possibilities turn into opportunity because it's there. I just have to be ready for it.
They say the biggest part of success is the preparation. This is getting ready. I don't know when for what, but I'll be ready. Yeah. And that's very smart. Like you take that through the strategy of you moving. You take that through. Was that a big part of your life too? You feel like that's made you more successful now?
The dance part, or
no, they're just being like dedicated, disciplined, and more like you have strategies, or you feel like you just kind of acquired those characteristics later.
Yeah, I think discipline was a huge part of my growing up. I mean, you know, our families, like they were super strict on us, especially as girls. And so there were a lot of things that I had to kind of keep in check and keep in line while I was growing up and in school, finishing college when I had the attention span of like a squirrel. I don't know. Like it was hard, but it's discipline. It's not necessarily, oh, you're the smartest in your group or you're the best here. It's just like, nomás no me rajaba. Like it was that corny. It's just like something, algo no me está saliendo and I just have to get it right.
Pero no me voy a ir, yeah.
And to an extent, that can be your masked perfectionism, that you want something to be a certain way. And the other part I think that has helped me is being a risk taker. For better or for worse, I take a lot of risk.
Big risk.
So those two together, I think, is what I needed to get there. It's not necessarily like talent or, oh, you know, you're meant for this. You were born with this. It's just like, that's what I want, and I'm going to go for it, even if everything else is telling me you're too old or you already have a career or It wasn't like everything was set up for me to choose that. It was discipline of doing it, the risk of following through, and like
you played the cards you were dealt.
Yep.
And right now you're winning. That's cool. With all of the changes that you took on, what is something like from moving? What is something from the like? Is there like obviously there's a big difference, but what is something that particularly attracted you from their culture rather than this one? That you've seen and felt more of like a relief, like this is cool. I like that we don't have to do this. Or was there anything like that over there?
Yes, I think their sense of community. I think their priorities for life kind of revolve around the people around them. To some extent, it's like, okay, maybe we have workaholics everywhere in the world. It's not just in the US. But it's also, well, why do you work so much? Why do you entrepreneur so much, you know? And then you start finding that people's priorities are like, well, I want to spend time with my kids here and I want to go to this park on the weekend and we want to go see family back in El Pueblo. And it's like family, but then also there are places where you can meet people, and it doesn't all have to be about, like, your identity does not revolve around work culture.
Where you work or what do you do?
It's almost like, in a way, it's a reversal. It's like you're gonna be with whoever you are, and so people work wherever they work, and that's where they generate relationships and friends and partners, family members. It's kind of, I mean, it helps that the population is all Mexican. So it's a little bit more open that way. It's like you can meet the potential best friend at your job or in college or father or mother of your children and you don't have to go out of your way the way that I think in the US is like a lot of people will look for the answers to things that fulfill them, quote unquote. And I'm guilty of it too, in jobs or a city or a place, which is ironic because I'm going to a different city to fulfill myself. But like, I would just say it's,
But it's not out of vanity. It's more of like a purpose. Like I have a reason.
yeah, it's like, I don't know. I don't want to say anything that can be too offensive, but I do think that here the go to is the American dream for everybody. That it's like get the job, los estudios, like your university degree, your title, your house, and the kids and the family and the wife and the marriage.
It's more like
and
we worry more about what the community thinks about us. What do we have to show?
Yeah, it's like I think that the idea of success looks very narrow, and that's the only way I can say it without it being offensive, because I don't think it's wrong. I just feel that if you are going to look successful in this here country, it looks one way. And I think with the pandemic starting and these new generations of maybe like dreamers or first generation American, child of immigrants, these people are the ones that are starting to come up with different ideas of what success looks like. And it doesn't have to be your 9 to 5. It doesn't have to be,
Your títulos.
So that's kind of what I like, that I see more of, is like, oh, they're successful. They are happy with their life, but it looks like this. And then you turn around and you see somebody else's idea of success and happiness, and it looks completely different. So that's what I'm talking about. The variety of dream life. It just looks different.
You feel like their dreams are just a little longer. They go farther sometimes.
Or just a different direction.
And I feel like maybe it's not just there. There's a guy that I know. He spoke. I saw a video that he posted where he spoke about him moving to Spain, and he was like, "I live when I used to in the U.S. I would make like 6 figures and all of that good stuff." He's like, "Now I make like 30 like thousand like in euros," and he was like, "I've never been happier." And you just kind of see that, and you're just like, "Damn!" Like sometimes we have so much piled onto us that we're blinded, and people go out to see, and they kind of, it's cool that now they can share with us like, hey, it's not that bad over here. I've noticed that a lot. I watch a lot of like traveling cooking shows, and I see that whenever they go to like, especially to Europe and stuff, just everybody enjoys like every little thing is something beautiful. And I like it can get to a point where you're just like, damn, that I do miss that. But I try to imply that over here, because I'm like, we gotta be grateful. You gotta be a little bit more happy.
Yeah, I agree. And create happiness wherever you are planted. Like, I think it's not impossible to find that, that unicorn that we're kind of chasing, But yeah, like I would say there are going to be struggles anywhere. There's struggles for people in Mexico, obviously, too. So not everybody's like riding on cloud 9 either. But I think just opening up the possibilities and your imagination to what things can be, and it can help to get out of the country. But then again, if you don't get out of the country, it's also just getting out of your bubble, getting out of like your go-to thoughts every day, and just trying to wonder what would it be like if I didn't dream this way, or if I dreamt bigger, if I just pushed my dream a little bit more or in that direction, And
that wonder, and you just do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. Well, this was really cool. I really enjoyed this, but I wanted to ask. I feel like you have a lot to share, and a lot of wisdom. Is there? And not even doesn't have to be to anybody that's watching that wants to be a dancer. Like, just somebody who probably has thoughts of like, I want to do this, but I haven't jumped. What's something that you could, give them another lesson, like another cheat code or another like tip?
Okay, this is the one that it just reverberates in my head over and over whenever I get to this like stuck situation. when I start thinking about something that I really want and it seems super impossible, and I put all these what ifs and all this time and distance in between me and that prize or that goal, I tell myself and I remind myself it's going to take just as long to get there as it will to not get there. So if you tell yourself it's going to take me 5 years to get my bachelor's degree, so I don't want to do it, well, in 5 years, if you didn't do it, you didn't get it.
And you're just like, fuck, now I'm here. 5 years pass, and you're like, oh, now I'm here.
Yeah. So you get to decide, like, how do you want to spend your life? Do you want to spend your life trying to get somewhere and just ticking off and then dream another dream? Because that's, I feel like the point really isn't to achieve the dream. It's like you're going after something. It keeps you going. It gives you a reason to get up. And sometimes it's just the approach to those obstacles. Everything will have an obstacle, and if you learn how to change your mindset about the way these huge obstacle monsters look like to you, then anything is at your reach. It's so corny, but it's very possible that you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah, like purpose. Like we were just speaking about purpose yesterday, and I feel like when people find it, and I love seeing it. I love when somebody's good at being something, and they find it, and it's kind of like it's a passing train, and they finally found their rail, and they grab it, and it just fucking goes. I fucking love watching that, and I've seen a lot of my friends like that, and it just clicked, and everything that they talked about, everything that they did, is just straight.
Yes, and you know what's crazier is since I've been on this path, there really haven't been people who were like, "Oh, you can't do that. I don't think you're capable." I don't really feel that I'm lucky. I just feel that I'm making sense with what I'm doing. I'm following through with what feels right, and I don't really see people questioning it because it is working for me. And what's crazy is that opportunities and things are just going to bloom in front of you. It's almost like the second I decided to do this and I show up thinking that there were going to be no's and naysayers and haters, critics in front of me, it was the opposite. I get to Mexico and I tell somebody, one of the directors of the school or the teacher, I want to be here, but I'm trying to figure out da 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 da. And he says, well, what do you want to do? Okay, come on in. It's almost like they're like, yeah, go for it, get it, do it if that's what you want. And it was scary how much nobody was stopping me.
You almost feel guilty, like you're like, why is it something that's about to happen? But it's just like you just are where you're supposed to be, and I feel like that's like the best spot. But it's confusing because through so much struggle, you're like, wait a minute, hey, what's going on? Like you're pinching yourself. You're like, fuck, am I really, really doing this? And why is it so easy? But I believe that when you really, really stick to something, and I've noticed it in the past, like if you really believe it and you kind of let it guide you as well, you will lose a lot of the things you thought were important to you. But it just seems easy, and you're kind of like, okay, I'm hurting, but it's not that bad. And I feel like it only happens when you really, really go for something that scares you, because it's not the scare of the thing, it's the scare of like, why, like, am I gonna like it? Or am I gonna be good at it? We're kind of scared of ourselves. Like, am I ready? Is this really the point? Because I've been training, but I didn't think this was it. And you're looking at it, but you're like, fuck it, let's face it, you know?
Absolutely. I feel that 100%.
Powerful.
It's like looking at the lion in the face and kind of
smile,
also like, wait,
and you roar back.
That's me. That's actually, I wanted this and it's here now. And all I have to do is just reach out and just grab it. Just take it.
Blessing. Beautiful. Fuck, that was really, really good. I told you, like, it just has to go. We don't edit shit. It just happens.
Okay.
Well, is there any closing remarks you would like to make, or anything else you would like to share?
Is it still going?
Actually, it got too hot.
Pues ya.
We've been going for an Hour.
Pues ya.
Wait up. Let me press pause. And actually, I think it will record the audio. So
Oh.
everybody, thank you so much. Very excited to have Karen, my first guest.
Aw.
That's super fucking cool.
Yay.
And well, yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
And
Pepe.
y'all keep pushing. If you're watching this from the back of the Food Depot on Floyd Road, or you're watching this from, where are you from?
Mexico City.
Mexico City. Thank you so much, and you have a good night. Woo!